This video is probably going to make a lot of people mad. Hello my fellow Hetalians and welcome back to Hetafacts. And I apologize for not having my Turkey and Greece video ready yet. They just have so much antagonistic history together, and it's really hard to summarize it all efficiently. In the meantime, however, I will talk about another controversial pair. They aren't enemies, but if you ask any Lithuanian fan, they will most certainly tell you all about this subject. Today, my fellow Hetalians, we are going to discuss the relationship between Poland and Lithuania. I am not only going to discuss the history behind these two and their current historical relations, but also the nature of the characters within the series that has some problematic aspects too. So let's take a look at these friends. But before I begin, not all Lithuanians dislike the Poles and vice versa. Today they don't really have a problem with each other all that much. It's mostly a laughing rivalry thing now. There may be some old people that have a hateful view towards Poles, but it's not like, oh, you married a Polak, I disown you. No, the worst it gets is when hooligans and those kinds of people turn everything violent. And for the most part, the Poles don't have any problem with the Lithuanians. It's the Lithuanians who have the problems with the Poles. And as usual, I am going to be as fair as possible. But I know I'm probably going to get a few claims of bias in the comments anyways, because I am partially Polish. Even though I'm only like a quarter Polish. So let's find out why and review to see just how healthy this relationship really is. First, let's go over the problematic aspects in the characters within the series. Many people outside of Lithuania and Poland don't ship Lit-Pol for its problematic aspects within the characters. It's clear to see that Poland pushes Lithuania around, and as a result, one could easily say that it could be an abusive relationship. But let me tell you something. If you really think about it, every Lithuania ship could be problematic. Litbel, verbally abusive, and she broke all of his fingers. Ruslit. Oh, come on, do I even really need to say why this one is problematic? It seems like the only non-problematic Lithuania ship is Ameliet. Ah, yes, the purest of ships. In Lit-Pol, Poland pushes him around, never asks for his opinion, and is pretty insensitive to him. But why does it always end up like this for every Lithuania ship? I think part of it has to do with Lithuania's nature. To quote his profile, there's no mistaking him if Russia or Poland are pushing him around. It even says in his profile that he is easy to take advantage of. I mean, look at him in the Christmas special. All it took to get this guy to strip was for someone to vehemently tell him to do so. He is the king of doormats. Lithuania is also a character that cares too much about other people. He likes being a big brother figure and looking out for others, which often leads him to these situations. Poland, when he gets to know someone, becomes clingy and bothersome. He's kind of an ojidere, which is like a himedere but the male version. Hell, when he first meets Lithuania, he asks him to call him either Pol or Polska-sama, basically Master Polska, meaning he expects to be treated like royalty. He's selfish, impulsive, and a stubborn person who is really forceful with his opinions. Naturally, this guy would be a bad friend to anyone. Look at how he acts around Lithuania, not listening to his stories, the invention of the Poland rule, not listening to his advice, the humiliation he puts him through, treating him as an underling at first instead of a partner. And yet, despite all this, he chooses to live at Poland's house after the USSR to rehabilitate. Why? Maybe Lithuania sees him like that friend that doesn't have any other friends, so you kind of feel bad for him and stick around. But Poland is friends with Italy. In fact, when Poland talks about Italy, Lithuania actually gets jealous. Well, maybe we're not seeing the full picture. Maybe things are actually mostly good for these two. In a missing page of chapter 5, we get this page where we get this. I totally don't care what you think of me. Even if you hate me, it totally doesn't change that I like you. Then he says that he'll be less selfish. But that last statement could also be, even if you hate me, it doesn't change the fact that I love you. As the Japanese phrase can be used to mean both. So Poland is trying, at least. The fact that Lithuania goes to rehabilitate at Poland's house is another sign that these two do have a genuine relationship. Looking at all the stuff that Lithuania was dealing with in the 1990s, it's really nice that Poland decided to help him recover, even though Poland had his own problems. In Poland's Marukajte Chikyu, Poland sounds like he really cares for Lithuania a lot. At the end of Lithuania's Marukajte Chikyu, he states that he got pushed around a lot, but he enjoyed the times he spent with Poland and looks forward to still being friends with him. So, are these two really friends Hetalia-wise? I say so. There are a few rough patches, but a lot of friendships that have lasted this long often have those. But why is their relationship so controversial today? Why would most Lithuanians prefer to ship Ruslit over Poliet? I mean, looking at all the history. Well, to answer that, we have to go into the history behind Hetalia. Number 1. More recognition in the Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth. Part of the reason for historical tensions is due to the Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth. Lithuanians claim that the Polish got more recognition even though Lithuania made up, most of the land. It's always Polish victory or the Polish did this, and it's the partitions of Poland instead of the partitions of Poliet. Lithuania was part of that too. Poland is known for their empire, and most people don't even know that Lithuania exists. But there is more historical drama to this. The Commonwealth was formed after the Treaty of Lublin. In this treaty, Lithuania and Poland were given similar rights and similar expression. However, Lithuanian influence declined with the time, while Polish influence grew until the Polish influence was larger and had a more influential role, leaving the Lithuanian nobles quite bitter. I mean, the national languages were Polish and Latin. Lithuanian was only a regional language. The Polish nobles didn't help the situation as they weren't very nice and were trying to Polonize everything. Lithuania lost influence, power, and land because of the union with Poland, so that's something to be bitter about. Then there's the whole V word, or W word, I guess, but I'll get into that later. Number 2, Lithuania's Polish minority. It's not really the Polish people in general that Lithuanians have a problem with. Lithuanians get along well with people from Poland and sometimes try to claim Polish celebrities as their own. The problem isn't really with the Polish people in Poland, it's the Polish people in Lithuania. Lithuania has a large Polish minority, much larger than the Lithuanian minority in Poland. And this is the main fuel for tensions today politically. The main reason that Lithuanians are annoyed with their Polish minority is their inability to speak Lithuanian. During the USSR, Russian was an official language, and the Poles were able to learn that much easier, since the two languages are related. Yay, Slavic languages! But after independence, the national language was changed to just Lithuanian, which makes sense. But for the Poles, Lithuanian was a lot harder to learn, so they just didn't learn it and continued to speak Russian or Polish, which is where Lithuanians have a problem. Some also claim that most of the Poles living in Lithuania are not able to understand the Lithuanian media and information. Some claim that this makes them an easy target for Russian propaganda that causes them to often act against the Lithuanian government and work together with the Russian minority, and thus contributing to the increasing Russian influence on Lithuanian politics. This is the short explanation as to why the government doesn't like the Polish minority. So, as you can guess, the Polish minority is associated with the Russians and Putin. Some also see this as them trying to force the Polish language on them too, as some street signs, notably in Vilnius, are in Polish as well as Lithuanian. This makes a lot of people mad as they claim it's a form of Polonization. And sometimes the Polish government in Poland has become mad over Lithuania's Polish minority. But if your biggest concern is Lithuanianizing the last names and taking down signs in Polish to make sure people in Lithuania actually speak Lithuanian, I'm just going to dismiss your complaints. I mean, God forbid people speak Lithuanian in Lithuania. Let's take a slight pause here and go over some of the little things that Poland did to Lithuania historically that would have definitely pissed Lithuania off. Before the two allied with each other in the 14th century, Christian Poland did not have a favorable view towards pagan Lithuania. Conrad of Masovia actually led some of the first crusades against Lithuania. The Sejny uprising, where the Poles tried to overthrow the Lithuanian authorities in that region that had a mixed population of Lithuanians and Poles. Then the Polish military organized a plan to overthrow the Lithuanian government. They threatened war in 1938 if Lithuania didn't renew relations with them. In the 1930s, they Polonized all of the Lithuanian minority by closing all the Lithuanian schools and organizations. During World War II, Armia Krajova did some really controversial things to the Lithuanians. It is estimated that 100 to 500 Lithuanians were killed by Poles during World War II, mostly because of rebels disobeying their commander's orders. None of them have faced justice nevertheless. In 1927, 48 Lithuanian schools were closed and 11 Lithuanian activists were deported from Vilnius. Oh yeah, after World War II, Poland was planning on invading Lithuania. Again. And last but not least, we have the idiots of today that march around Vilnius with Polish flags shouting, "Vilnius is ours!" Seriously, it's not funny when you do it in Lviv, it's not funny when you do it in Vilnius. Stop it. Speaking of which, it's time for me to address the V word. Vilnius. Another factor to this is the Polonization of things, more specifically in Vilnius. If you don't know, there's been arguments for centuries about whether Vilnius is Polish or Lithuanian, and this is Lithuania's capital and not just some random city, so this matters quite a lot. These arguments have turned into memes now, but Vilnius is the primary reason that tension still exists between Poles outside of Lithuania. Well, Vilnius is Lithuania's capital, right? Surely it's Lithuanian. Well, it has Lithuanian origins, but the main problem with this happened during number 3, the Polish-Lithuanian War. Yes, Poland and Lithuania went to war. This is the primary reason for tensions outside of the Polish minority and why Vilnius is so important. Many Lithuanians are still bitter about it to this day. After World War I, Lithuania gained independence from the Russian Empire. Not long before this, Poland finally became a country again after not having an entity for about 150 years. So Poland, a little dense to see that all the major empires in Europe just collapsed, was like, "Hey, want to form the Commonwealth again?" No thank you, I kind of want to be independent right now. Okay, cool. Wait, you got Vilnius? Yeah, I've always had Vilnius. No, you haven't. Vilna is mine! What? No, it's not! It's my city and my capital! There's like far more Polish people that live there. By the way, I'm going to take Suwałki too. Like hell you will! Rawr! But to be fair, during this time, the predominant language of the city was Polish. The absolute majority of the population in Vilnius spoke Polish. The next popular language after that was Yiddish, not Lithuanian. The Lithuanian-speaking population was only about 6% of the city's population. So for Poland to see it as something to be theirs makes sense. However, this is the same logic used by Adolf Hitler when annexing Austria and Sudetenland, and by Putin when it came to annexing Crimea. So take that as you will. And so the war lasted about a year, and Poland got Suwałki and Vilnius, and so Lithuania had to move its capital to Kaunas and cut all its relations with Poland. Today, Vilnius is 63% Lithuanian and 17% Polish. So it would be nonsense to claim that Vilnius is Polish now. But this is where the sports hooligans come in. And the nationalist hooligans. The worst thing you could ever say in Lithuania, the one thing that will get you beat up over there, is saying Vilno nasza and waving a Polish flag. Actually, maybe don't wave a Polish flag in Vilnius at all. Relations with Poland weren't established again until 1938, and like I said before, Lithuania was actually forced into doing so because Poland threatened to invade again if they didn't. In terms of Hetalia, I can imagine that war was a massive blow to whatever ego Lithuania had left. It was as if to say, hey, you're so weak now, Poland is beating you up. This is the reason I uploaded this video today of all days. On the 29th of November 1920, the ceasefire between Poland and Lithuania was signed. This is when the Lithuanians believed that the war ended. This war happened almost 100 years ago. But do you know how long Vilnius was occupied for? Until October 1939. It wasn't even occupied for 20 years! And do you want to know why? Because Poland was busy getting beat up by Germany and the USSR, and Russia was like, hey, do you mind if I stay here for a while? No, I kind of don't have room. Did I mention I beat up your ex and took your capital back? You can have it if you let me stay here. Deal! I get that it was a really shitty thing to do, but it was 100 years ago, and Poland didn't even keep it for 20 years. This is the historical event you choose to be so bitter about? Not the stuff that went down in World War II with Armia Krajova murdering a bunch of people for no reason. But oh no, they took our capital for 19 years. Oh, the Poles are so evil. I'm just confused. Do you know what? Let's spill some tea. Because if this is what you're mad about, then the Poles should be infuriated at you guys. Let's go over all the things that Lithuania has done to Poland in the past, shall we? After the Polish-Lithuanian War, do you want to know what you did to all the Poles in Lithuania? They were just Lithuanians that need to be Lithuanianized, apparently, so you confiscated their land, cut their voting rights, and shut down Polish religious services in schools. I mean, the Poles shut down Lithuanian schools and organizations, but they didn't strip them of their land and their voting rights. But there were some deportations of Lithuanian activists, so I guess that kind of balances out. But hey, do you know where we didn't deport them to? Siberia! Which is where Lithuania deported a bunch of Polish people from this area in 1944 through 1946. Oh yeah, let's not forget about World War II. Oh, Lithuania, this was such a controversial time for you. Lithuanian-Nazi collaboration was high, like, really high. Lots of Lithuanian administration was involved in murdering and deporting thousands of Poles. Some Lithuanian clergy called for pogroms of Poles, saying that the Poles were worse than the Jews, and offered incentives and rewards for killing Polish people. A Lithuanian professor wrote a pamphlet on why we should hate the Poles. Basically, if this program went the way they wanted them to, the Poles would be treated like the Jews. They were going to establish ghettos for them. They were going to have them wear identifying badges. They were going to reduce their food rations. Here is a lovely little quote from the Lithuanian establishment at the time. Under the Soviets, we killed 50% of Poles. Under the Germans, we will kill the other 50%. Both Germans and Lithuanians took part in the Ponary massacres. Also, remember how Vilnius used to be majority Polish? Do you know where all those Poles went? You deported them or killed them all! No, that does not give you a pass to go running around yelling Vilno nasze. By the way, a lot of your prized forest brothers whom you see as national heroes joined the Nazis, a group whose ideology involved exterminating and enslaving the Polish. But hey, it's not like the Lithuanians killed that many Poles during World War II. Oh. As for today, they don't allow anyone to use the normal Latin alphabet to spell their names. So if your name has a W in it, guess what? You're screwed in Lithuania. And do you know what names often have W's in them? Polish names! And of course, the existence of Vilna. Lithuania did a lot of bad things and are still on edge with their Polish minority. Are we bitter? No. No, we're not. A lot of people in Poland love their neighbors. But oh, poor you and your capital we took 100 years ago and occupied for not even 20 years. Sorry to spill the tea there. But I had to be fair to the Poles. I mean, I've been ranting about the Poles the entire video. It's only fair. To be fair, I do believe that this situation is relevant due to the fact that people still go around screaming Vilno Nasha and stuff like that. I believe that is what is currently escalating the situation at the moment. So it isn't entirely the fault of the Lithuanians for this grudge. But hey, the past is the past! And the two have a few passive-aggressive jabs at each other every now and then, but overall, these two have kind of been friends since NATO and the EU, as long as you don't bring up the V word, or the W word. So, how accurate is Poland and Lithuania's relationship in Hetalia? Well, I would say kind of accurate. I mean, I think Lithuania is a bit too nice to Poland and a bit too forgiving to Poland, but I guess that's kind of the character's nature. I mean, if you look at it from one side, it is kind of accurate because Lithuania and Poland are both in the EU and NATO, and they are strong trading partners and military buddies against the encroaching Russian threat in Suwalki. But there is no doubt that the country of Lithuania still has its doubts about its neighbor. In Hetalia, Poland brings up some troubles to Lithuania every now and then, but they often still get along and even enjoy each other's company every now and then. I wouldn't see them as being anything more than friends anytime soon. If I were to ship realistically, I would just say that things are one-sided at the least. Because there is no doubt that Lithuania still questions why he's friends with Poland every now and then. And that was 1 mark higher on your history test. Thank you for watching Hetafax. Wait, so if capitals are nations' hearts, and Poland conquered Vilnius in 1920, does that mean he literally took Lithuania's heart? Oh, wow. Huh. I guess I see why Ameliat didn't work out.